Welcome to the Remodel Contracting Podcast, where outdated spaces meet their modern makeover destiny. Hosted by Jeff Bass, general contractor, home renovation expert, and guy who firmly believes your avocado green bathroom has gotta go. Based in the DFW Metro, Remodel Contracting is here to help you level up your living space. Because hey, you updated your wardrobe, now it's time to update your home. Expect more, live better. Let's remodel.
Managing a remodel without blowing the timeline or the budget isn't luck, it's strategy. Here's how we keep things moving at Remodel Contracting. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Sofia Yvette, co-host / producer, back in the studio with general contractor and home renovation expert, Jeff Bass. Jeff, how's it going?
Doing wonderful and happy to be here, Sophia.
Happy to have you on, Jeff. So, our listeners would love to know, how does remodel contracting ensure a project stays on time and on budget?
Well, Sophia, staying on time and on budget, one thing that I firmly believe is it is not about slogans. It's about systems and it's about accountability. So we like to have clear scope, clear plan. We don't start a project until we have a full scope and mutual understanding of expectations. I firmly believe in realistic scheduling. We build in buffers, we plan for potential delays, and we create realistic timelines that don't set up clients for disappointment. I believe in having daily oversight and communications. That means regular site visits, daily check-ins with the crew, and client updates. We're present and we're accountable. I believe in transparent budget tracking. I believe in progress reports as the project's going along with no surprise costs. I'm a firm believer in not having change orders. I believe that we should, if we plan ahead properly, that there hopefully isn't much need for a change order along the way. Unless there's change orders, I believe, are for things that are unforeseen and unknowing. For example, we don't know what's behind drywall until we take that drywall down. But even in cases like that, I have those discussions at the planning phase with the client. If we're removing a soffit, a fur down in a kitchen or a bathroom, it may have ductwork, plumbing, electrical. You don't know what's hidden behind that until you get into it. And I make sure the client understands that before we start the project, that may be something that may be additional work. But like I said, I don't believe in surprise costs. I try to make sure we have a full and accurate scope and mutual agreement before the project starts. And that will help us not only to stay on budget, but also to stay on time. Because when those delays do come up, they create a waste of time, because then the client has to make a decision if they want to spend the extra money or not. We have to then receive the money, then go get whatever material and schedule more onto the project. So it's just a lot easier on everybody if we do it right from the beginning. And then that way clients always know where they stand. I build in buffers, contingency planning, whether that be for weather, for delays, for material issues. We plan ahead so that disruptions don't derail the job. And part of that is also being creative and offering solutions, understanding that I am the fiduciary, I am the expert, not the client. So when something does happen and cause a delay, it's my responsibility to find a way around that, not the client's. And we finish strong. Our reputation is built on delivering as promised. And that's how we earn referrals. Anyone can start a project, but we can finish them on time and on budget. And that's what matters.
Most definitely. And so, Jeff, please explain to our listeners here why it's so critical to have detailed estimates rather than ballpark numbers.
Well, detailed estimates, they assist, like I said, again, not just in staying on budget, but also in staying on time. Proper communication, making sure everyone's on the same page, it gives a sense of security for the client. The client knows what they're getting before they get it. They're not walking into a situation where they walk into their bathroom and there's a decision that's been made that they didn't make. whether that goes all the way down to the color of the grout that's between the tile, the tone of the LED lighting that we're updating in it. Is it still the old warm yellow or the new cool? Is it 3,000 or 5,000 on the brightness? Is it the perfect countertop that they picked out, or is it just similar? Is the bathroom vanity, does it have the exact number of drawers and doors in the exact right place where they wanted them? Have we moved the shower head to the exact position they wanted? Maybe the husband's 6'4", and so we need to have the shower head even higher than normal. So all of these things, these little details, I address up front. So that way there's nothing later on, even after the project's finished. Oh, I wish we would have done it this way. I wish we would have done it that way. That falls back to me understanding that I'm the expert. And in addition to that, taking into account the perspective of the client and what their objectives are. Because everybody's objectives aren't the same. And if I take the time to understand what my client's objectives are, it makes it a lot easier to bring their vision to life.
So, Jeff, going back to that pre-construction phase, is that where you would go over some of this information in what they're really seeking to have reconstructed and their vision of how they want it to look?
Absolutely. And I believe at that point of the phase, there's no such thing as communicating too much. I ask for my clients to provide inspirational photos. I will sit down and help them through the design phase, help them to make sure that the designs that they have picked go together. Most clients actually aren't that comfortable with picking their own designs. And I'm not a typical general contractor. I'm not just going to tell people, okay, pick out your tile, pick out your paint, pick out all the hardware, and then I'll just put it in. I help the clients with the design. If they're coming to me and they're showing me something that I feel is not going to look good together, I will give them that information. Ultimately, the decision's for them to make, but I will help them to use it by using my expertise to make the best decision for them and for their objectives. And that's all done ahead of time. For me personally, I do more work myself before the project starts than I do after the project starts. After the project starts, all I'm doing is managing that budget and managing that time and making sure that my crew is understanding the vision of the client and following that scope of work that they've been provided with. So most of my work is done ahead of time to make sure that the process runs smoothly. And it's just the old saying of building a strong foundation, making all of the design decisions, making all of the budget decisions, all of those decisions are part of the foundation. And we don't start a project until we know how long it's going to take either. Because here's the thing, if a project's going to take 4 weeks, honestly, a client would rather us wait a couple of weeks to start than to start the project and then be delayed by 2 weeks while we're in the middle of the project. Now, the end result on either of those situations is a project's done in 6 weeks, right? But the client would rather be disturbed for a shorter amount of time as possible. So they would rather wait until all of their decisions are made or all of their materials are ordered, so that way their house is disturbed as least amount of time as possible. And we understand that.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for stopping in today, Jeff, and sharing those helpful insights with our listeners. Have a fantastic and blessed rest of your day, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you, Sophia. I appreciate you.
That's a wrap for this episode of Remodel Contracting Podcast. Ready to kick that 90s kitchen to the curb? For a free in-home consultation, call 469-831-5620 or visit remodelcontracting.net. Expect more, because your home deserves better, and honestly, so do you.